Shalom, Sister Kate here. See, coughing already. I wanted to say thank you to everyone who came to the live stream last night. There were some really interesting questions in the comments on the live chat that we didn't get to. I apologize that we didn't get to answer all your questions. Today, what I'm going to share with you is what you do when your wood stove is fired up. And the simple answer to that is you take advantage of it. So this morning, the house was at 50 degrees because it was cold here last night. I think it was under 30. And so we started the fire in the wood stove, and then I can't have that wood stove going and not use it for something, because the other wood stove, it'll heat the house, but there's not, I mean, you've seen me do cooking videos on it, but it's not easy, and it's kind of dirty, and it takes a lot of wrangling. Whereas when this thing's going, it's easy to cook stuff, and it just drives me crazy if I don't utilize it. So let me show you some of the things I've been doing with this cook stove today. Get my camera crew on this thing. All right, so here it is. The sun's kind of shining in the one window, so it's kind of hard. Let me see if I can. There we go. A little bit better. No. There, to see it. So what I've done already today is I've baked cookies, and I didn't have any eggs, so I had to use applesauce, but I baked 5 dozen cookies in there. In the warmer right here, I've got some seeds drying. Can you see them? Yeah, they're butternut squash seeds, and they came out of a butternut squash that I'm also baking. I wanted to show you the firebox because it's kind of a operational, everything happens here kind of place on the stove. And you have to have a handle because it's heavy. You have to lift it up. Oh, and here's the thermometer too. Oh, can you see that? Let's see. There we go. The thermometer says 400 degrees on top. And it's got to be at least that to have the stove at any kind of cooking temperature. I've had the stove today between 400 and like 350 degrees. So there's the firebox. I'll get that guy centered on there. You see the 2 logs that are burning now. I've used about 5 logs in there this morning, and I've got the dampers on the side screwed down a little bit, and I've got the main stove pipe damper thing right here. If I pull it out, the heat and the smoke goes up the stove pipe. If I push it in, it goes around. It rotates around the stove. So that's why we've got a temperature there on the stove top of 400. Now, I wanted to show you too. There's the oven, and it's right around 350, maybe 325. And inside I have a squash baking, a butternut squash that grew this year in the Shimata. We did not plant that butternut squash. It grew on its own out by our goat pen. And then inside the butternut squash, I have Brussels sprouts. So the Brussels sprouts and the butternut squash are cooking together. And then I have a plan to put some cream of chicken soup in them. And so they're baking right now. And I'll be checking them with a fork pretty soon. And right at the end of the cookies being done, I also had some chicken breasts I wanted to bake. So as soon as the cookies were finished, I put in those logs to bring the temperature up suitable for cooking chicken, and I baked the chicken, which also will be part of the butternut squash meal. So, is that enough? Cookies, squash, chicken, drying out seeds. Is that enough uses for this monstrous stove today? No, it's not. Because I also, with hot water from the reservoir, washed all my dirty dishes. And because the reservoir has 5 gallons in it, I had plenty of water to do that with. So I'll show you the reservoir really quick because we try to keep it full. It's got a lever handle, and then it opens up. Try not to drop this guy in there. You can hear it sizzling. The water's pretty warm. And I will refill that also. I've got a water ready to refill it with. So I wash the dishes with that reservoir water. But is that enough? Is that enough uses for this guy today while he's up and hot? No. The temperature in the house, like I said, was 50 degrees when I got up this morning, and we put this on. It's 70 right now, so it warmed up the whole house. And we're going to take a bath later. Yay! Finally! Even though it's not Shabbat. And we will use that warm water in that reservoir for the basis of our bath water. Because before, our baths usually were 2.5 gallons of water, 5. I mean, if we were feeling really special, we might get 7.5 gallons of hot water going. And you've seen, we would heat it up on the turkey fryer in the bathroom area, and then I'd have a pot here and a pot here. And each pot, each one of these big cook pots, about this size, it's holding about 2.5 gallons of water. But now what we can do is we can use all the water in the reservoir, plus put water all across the top of the range, because it's, you know, a good 3 or 4 feet across there, and have multiple pots warming up. So we can have, oh, who knows, 15 gallons of water in our bathtub, which for us, it's a great morale booster to get clean, to just relax for a little while. Now, while I've been talking, I've had this window open because it gets so hot in here. I'm down into my shirt sleeves and into my wife beaters and so on, because it's too hot standing right next to that stove. And as you saw, it was 400 degrees. Sometimes I have guys up to 600 to get the oven up to, 450 to cook biscuits. So sometimes we've got the windows open even though it's maybe 40 degrees outside, because it does such a good job heating. So that has been my morning with the cook stove. What did I get? 5, 6 uses out of it? To me, that's acceptable. And something else I could have been doing today, which makes a certain amount of sense when you look at historical stuff. Washing the clothes today would have been an option if I'd been planning it and so on, because I could use that warm water. And with the water that I wash the dishes, I'll probably mop the floor too. So it has made a huge difference in the off-grid life. It has made a huge difference in how much cooking I can get done. And I don't have to do it all. I don't have to do it all on that camp stove over there, which performed admirably over the last 7 years, but it limits what you can cook. And because you're, using frying pans, you have to use oil all the time. Whereas when you bake, you don't necessarily have to use oil, and it cuts down on your cholesterol. All right, thanks for coming along. Bless you guys. Shalom.